Hey guys, what's up, it's Flynn here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at Protea Prime's signature weapons, the Velox Prime and also the Okina Prime. Now I'm not going to lie, they're not the best weapons in the game, but they are quite fun. So the Velox Prime is a high fire rate secondary weapon, so this is going to be good at ripping through things like nullifier bubbles and stuff like that. Any enemy that you need to have a high fire rate weapon to take down, this is going to be good for. And then the Okina Prime, they're just some short daggers that are quick to attack, deal a lot of slash damage, and they're just, good for just spamming melee and killing a lot of bad guys. So we're not going to overcomplicate the builds, to be honest. I'm only really going to show you guys one build for each of the weapons, starting with the Velox Prime. So on this build, for damage, we are running Cascadia Flare, and that's because we have a pretty decent status chance, and we're also running Prime Heated Charge to up our heat damage. So if we go ahead and we hover over status, you can see that our most applied status effect is actually heat. Because we have the high fire rate and the pretty decent status chance, getting this bonus damage from Cascadia Flare is quite easy. It's quite consistent as those heat procs are being applied most often. Next up on our weapon, we want to go ahead and add multi-shot. So we're running Galvanized Diffusion, so more kills means more multi-shot, and Lethal Torrent for even more fire rate and more multi-shot. For my crit, I'm running Creeping Bullseye, which actually gives us less fire rate, but we counteract that with Lethal Torrent anyway, so it's okay. And then Prime Target Cracker for the bonus critical damage, so the higher crit multiplier. So we're critting 42% of the time, which is an okay sort of number because of how fast this gun shoots, and the crit multiplier or the crit damage is increased by 4.2 times. We're running Viral on our weapon as well because the weapon mainly deals slash damage. We're going to get a lot of slash procs. We're running Pistol Pestilence and Frostbite to get that. The Viral procs are going to amplify the amount of damage that our slash procs damage over time deals. Then in the final slot, we are running Primed Expel Corrupted. Now if you're using Rhino's Roar on your Warframe, you don't have to use this mod and you can replace it for something else, such as the other galvanized mods, Galvanized Crosshair or Galvanized Shot, which is basically the Galvanized Aptitude but for secondary weapons. Then in your Exo slot, you can use whatever you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to test out this Velox build versus Steel Path level 215 Corrupted Heavy Gunners. So this is without any of the buffs active. Whenever we start shooting, you're going to see the damage sort of ramp up because of all the heat procs being applied to the enemy. So we aim for headshots here. Just hold down left click, and as you can see, it doesn't deal the most damage at the beginning, but once you get that full bonus from the Arcane that we've got equipped, you actually deal far more damage. Now it does take a lot of bullets to actually kill an enemy, but you're not really like picking this weapon up to deal with big groups of enemies. This is a single target shredder, and you're mainly using it for those enemies that are quite annoying, such as like your nullifiers, like I said at the beginning of the video. Now this isn't a nullifier specific build. You could make one that's more optimal for shredding nullifiers, sure, but I just wanted to show off the damage potential of the weapon versus these Corrupted Heavy Gunners, because they are, pretty tanky enemies, and if we are able to take these guys down with a weapon, it's safe to say that it's pretty alright. So like I mentioned, if you're running Roar on your Warframe, you would take off this Primed Expel mod for something different. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to test it out using Galvanized Shot. That takes our status chance to 96% just with the mod equipped, and we get even more whenever we start killing, which means that our Cascadia Flare damage bonus is going to be active even more. It's going to be even more consistent. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and cast my Roar ability, and as you can see, I have a 103% Roar up there, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to prime them with the Cedo because we deal more damage per status effect applied to the enemy with Galvanized Shot. So we just go ahead and we apply the procs here, and now we hold down left click, and as you can see, we kill far faster. Now we can prime them even more, have more status effects on them, and we deal even more damage. So it goes from being a pretty whatever weapon to being a really strong weapon because we have the Roar buff, which is double dipping the slash procs and just increasing our damage. And we've got the statuses on all the enemies and stuff like that. And yeah, we're basically able to wipe the entire grip of these heavy gunners pretty quickly. So pretty decent weapon. The other mod you can go ahead and try is Galvanized Crosshairs. So basically this reads on headshot you get more crit chance when aiming, and then on headshot kill you get more critical chance when aiming as well. So we go ahead and we slot that over Galvanized Shot. I'm gonna go ahead and cast my Roar again, aim for the head mixture, and as you can see, without all the priming and stuff like that, we're still dealing a lot of damage. Now, a lot of this damage definitely is coming from Roar, but, you know, it's still a decent build without Galvanized Shot on, right? So it's just like if you don't have the other mod, like whichever one you think is better from just this testing or these little demonstrations, if you don't have one or the other, just use the other one. That's it. Like that's all it comes down to. So say you're a player and you don't have enough Vitus Essence to get the one that you prefer, you can use the one that you've got, and it'll do totally fine, you know? So there's no panic. Both of them perform pretty well. So without Roar, this is the build that you want to go ahead and run, and if you are running Roar, you can go ahead and you can drop that mod right there and then throw on Galvanized Shot or Galvanized Crosshairs, whichever you prefer, and this weapon will definitely just shred enemies. Moving on to the Okina Prime. So this is a nice slash damage melee weapon, as you guys can see, and we are running Condition Overload on this as well. So it's important that you are using a primer like the Cedo or the Kuvenyuko or Epitaph or whatever, so you can get the most damage out of this weapon. I'm running Prime Fury for attack speed because I don't really care for, you know, running Berserk or whatever. I just want to be fast from the get-go, so I just run this to be lazy. Blood Rush for more critical chance, Prime Smite for more damage on the slash procs, double dipping and stuff like that, Prime Reach for more range, Amalgam Organ Shatter for more critical damage, Weeping Wounds for status, and then Drifting Contact for combo duration and status chance. I've got Melee Duplicate on here, so you don't need to have this on. This is just a nice damage increase, so it says on critical hits 100% chance for your attack to strike a second time, so it's like multi-shot but for melee. And then we have Discipline's Merit, and this is for Tennokai. This is a good sort of like go-to melee build for literally any melee weapon in the game. We're going to see how the Okina performs with this build. We're not going to be using Roar in this demonstration. We want to go ahead and we prime all the enemies, so let's just do another little prime here, and then we just go ahead and melee. So we're not going to have the most damage to begin with, but as you can see, after a few melee strikes, we're pretty much like just ripping through these enemies, no problem, right? So quite easy peasy. It's just a decent weapon to get. If you wanted to and you're using Roar, you can go ahead and drop the Smite Corrupted mod for literally anything else that you want. You're kind of spoiled for choice whenever it comes to melee. You can throw on Killing Blow if you really wanted to for stronger heavy attacks. It is really down to you what you want to run in that last slot there if you're using Roar on your Warframe. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much it for Protea Prime's signature weapons and their builds. If you like this video, go ahead, hit like. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.